guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Tori and I just love sewing. Today we are doing the Hailie Jade bag by KM Designs. I'm going to apologize now. The alarms on base are going off. I have no idea why. They don't inform us. It's just happening. So I think it's about halfway through the video, they just start going off. But if I didn't continue sewing, then we wouldn't get a bag. So this backpack's actually convertible, so you can have it as a backpack or a crossbody, which is cute. And it's got these little magnets on the side, so you can like bring it in and make it adorable, or you can let them out and make it bigger. I chose not to do the front pockets because I have a lot to do today. It's actually my son's birthday. But in here we've got a slip pocket for where you put your phone, and then a zipper pocket on that back wall. It was pretty quick to cut out. It was pretty quick to sew, really. And I really like the shape of it. I think it's adorable. I also think it would be adorable if you blew it up to be like a bigger backpack. But anyway, if you would like to see how to make this, please stay tuned. Here, I'm going to start with the strap. So I'm just actually using like pre-made stuff for this. You're going to need, now I'm doing this bag differently because I don't have the open circle rings. So instead, I'm going to use swivel clips and a whole bunch of these circle rings that don't open. So the ones in the pattern are removable, so that's why you just do loops. But because I don't have that, I'm going to do the silver hardware instead. So first thing we want to do is on both ends, we want to put, actually, we can probably start with this one. So we're just going to do it like normal. I'll try and do it as simple as possible. So we're going to put this one on and then stitch it down. So I'm still going to do the zigzag or the crisscross or whatever you want to call it, because it is quite stable. You could also have made your vinyl out or your straps out of like vinyl or half vinyl, half fabric. I did not have enough vinyl in the color that I wanted to use, so that's why I'm doing it this way. All right, so we're on. Then we're going to go to the other end. I'm going to thread this on and make sure that there's no twists. And then I'm going to go up through here and down like that. And then I'm going to get this one and go down through there. Now, normally you would just attach that to there. Oh, wait. Hold on. Sorry. Right. Up through there, so we've got one loop on this end. Then we want to put this in so that we can adjust from both ends. Then I'm going to put this on here. And then lift up that middle section, and then we're going to stitch it underneath. Now, usually I avoid having to stitch this inner part, but with a double-ended thing like this, you can't miss it. So I'm just going to get my snips and poke it through there, like that. And then I'm going to pull a little bit more through so that I've got enough to stitch. And then you just kind of pull it all out of the way and stitch it down. And so this will now mean that both ends are fully adjustable so that you can have it as your crossbody or your backpack strap, or however you wish to actually wear the bag. Also, by using pre-made strapping, it does make the bag a little bit quicker, which will in turn make this video a little bit quicker because you won't be watching me sew the strap. Which is not a big deal, but you don't have to use straps. You don't have to make straps. You can always just use pre-made stuff because it does make for a much quicker sew. So now I can adjust that longer at this end or at this end. So it can now be a backpack crisscross strap or just a normal one like that. So I can pop that aside, and that's also removed a lot of the hardware out of here. So the strap is done. Next, I'm going to use my rivet magnets today because I don't remember if I did a video or not on them. So they are magnets, but they're rivet ends instead of the prongs that you bend over. And I just thought that would be fun. So it's got a mark where it needs to be. So I need to keep this. But first I'm going to put both of these right sides together. Like this. And then I'm going to stitch around. I come down, needle down, pivot, around the curve. Like that. Too far. There we go. And then off the end. So this is our flap. I'm eliminating pieces again, which is what I always do. So I'm going to just chop off some of this. You could also actually use, because it is a curve, your zigzag scissors. Be a really good time to use them. Get rid of all of that excess. I probably didn't need to take it all off, but whatever. And then you want to turn it inside out. Now, because it's got stabilizer, some of you may struggle to turn this through. So my little tip or suggestion is heat it up for like 3 or 4 seconds with the iron, and you'll find that it becomes a lot more pliable, and then turn it through, and it won't be as tricky as this. I can't set up my iron right now because I've got the laptop with the pattern here, just in case I don't understand a step. I should be right. I decided not to do the pocket on the front, just to make this a bit of a quicker sew, because technically it is actually my child's birthday today. So we used party on the weekend, but it's his actual birthday today. So after this video, I want to go like into town and buy cake and do more stuff, because why not? Right, so I'm just using my pokey stick to kind of get all of that out. Like that. And then I'm going to top stitch around, and then I will put the rivet in. So I want to do it after the top stitching so that the metal doesn't get in the way. The pattern has a few options. You could do a turn lock, which I did contemplate doing, or you could do, so you could do a turn lock. You can do a magnet like I am. They've got like a really cool edge one, but I don't have them here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to lay this against it so that we can mark out where our magnet's going to go. So like that. And it's going to go pretty close to the edge. So over here I have my hole punch. I just want to make sure that that's enough, that it's not going to sit out. Perfect. So we're just going to punch the hole. And then we take these out. Now when you get this set, you get 2 bases and 1 top. So these are strong magnets, by the way. Apparently so strong I can't separate them. So the one that looks male actually holds the female end, and then that one sits in the groove. So when we squish it, we're not going to damage the magnet in any way. So then all we do is put this on, push this through the hole like that, and then we've got a cap, and the cap should hold up the top like so. So everything just kind of lines up, and then we squish it down. And so now, from the outside I've got a stud, but the inside's got half the magnet. I think that's really cool. Anyway, we're going to have to do a few of these because I'm using them everywhere. You don't have to do them through all the layers. If you didn't want to see this part on the top, you could do it underneath, just like the other bits. But I kind of like the accent there. That's just my thing. Anyway, next up, we're going to have to punch more holes. So I'm just going to put that back into there. Whoops, or not. So next up, I've got my side, front, and backs. So it's also got the placement hole. So I am going to punch all the holes now because that will be quicker. And I've got some on this end as well, because what will happen is that will join to bring in the side. Apparently I cut this a little bit more crooked than I thought. But that's okay, I will just trim it down. I was in a bit of a hurry this morning. Apparently my tracing skills are poor. Alright, so put that one there. And then this one's the same, so we're going to have to do it on this side as well. So I'm going to line up the pattern pieces, and I'm just going to put some clips so that it doesn't move while I'm trying to punch the holes. And these will then be all the rivets. Now by doing it now, we're not going to see the rivet on the back because it will be inside the bag. You could also just use the bendy ones. It doesn't really matter. I just thought it'd be fun to do different ones, because I'm sure you get sick of me doing the same thing all the time. So I like to switch it up. So I've punched those two. So I'm just punching through the paper and the vinyl like that. All right. And then while we're here, we can also do this one. And then I'm going to punch that hole. So now I can install all of the magnets at the same time, which will make my life a little bit quicker, I guess. So take those out. Pop that over there. Okay. I'm going to start with this end. So I'm going to take this off and I'm going to put it on here. Insert that up into there and then just squish it together. And that one's magnetic, so sometimes it will pull out that. It doesn't get stuck, it's just magnetized. So that's one set. I can pop that back in the box. And then I'm just going to take off all the clips. So I'm using a combination of the moment at alligator hair clips, which I got on eBay, and my other ones. So these are actually symmetrical. Actually, I will need to place more stuff, so we'll just leave that for a second. So while I've got this piece out, we're going to install all of those ones. I'll start with the females on all the sides, and then we'll switch into the other one. So I'm going to put that there, squish it down. Magnet, don't forget it's a magnet. And so then I want to install this on the same. So I'm going to hold them so that they're mirrored like this. And then this one is also going to have one of these so that it's the same. So they really are. I find these easier to install, but harder to separate. The magnets in these are quite strong, which I'm not complaining about. I just thought I'd let you know. All right, so that's those ones. So now I'm going to switch to the other side, and then all the rest of the pieces just get the non-magnetic half. And by doing this now, I've also, oops, that did not work. Apparently I missed. So now I'm going to have to stop and go and get another rivet. No, it's the rivet. Well, that's a new one for me. You just kind of have to flick it out because it is being held up there. All right, so I'm going to need that. And then I definitely think that was my error and not the stuff. But there's also a good chance I've got some spares in a bag over here because they always send me the incorrect amount. So these are all the not spares, I guess. Oh my goodness, it's not my day. There we go. So the broken ones can go down there. So I've got more tops here. So these are all the ones that they sent me that were incorrect or half, or it's missing something. All right, so that can also go in the bin. I've put a new one in, so let's try this again. Push that through, set it in, on, squish, done. So I'm just gonna have to, so see, that will now magnetize there like that. If you are worried, if you're using press snaps instead of magnet snaps, you may want to put a square of stabilizer on here as well. It's obviously your choice. I just need to go and get one more cap and squish that on, and then we can move forward. That's all done. I've also cut some webbing and just kind of clipped it around my circle ring. So you could definitely use D-rings instead. That would also work just as well. So now I'm going to take these, and we've got the strap placement. So I'm just going to line this up here and then grab this and put it on the angle that it needs to be and then clip it on. Like so. And then we're going to do the same to the other half. So we're going to mirror it, flip it over like this. Oops, make sure it doesn't fall off the table because that'd be nice. And then it goes there, like that. Clip that down. Pop these over there. Right. So now I'm just going to base those in place so that they don't move later. I am going to backstitch. I really want to make sure that that's not going to come off. And that is the last of that particular bobbin. But luckily for me, I did actually remember to wind a second one. Alright. This happens every time I do a bobbin. I pick it up and half of it springs off, unfortunately. So that's one on. And then I'm just going to do the other one. And that is just being basted on within the seam allowance. I probably didn't need to sew that much. It's probably a bit excessive, but it will stay there. So I guess that's still okay too. Now, because I'm not doing all of the front zipper, we can just take this piece, and I don't think I need to mark anything else on it. I do not. Let me just pop that over there as well. So now we're just going to sew all these pieces together. So I'm going to, you can choose to have the magnet with the magnets or on the other side. I'm going to have magnets everywhere because why not? So I'm going to take this and line it up. And I'm going to go to a joining stitch length, which for me is 2.5 today. It's always around 2.5. Now you can clip that together before you stitch it if you want to. I obviously didn't, but you definitely could have. And then I'm going to add the other one on. So again, I'm going to make sure that all the magnets are together because I want it to be matching. I wouldn't recommend using directional vinyl on this. That just got a really big knot. The thread got stuck in the needle that time. Oh well. For those of you who aren't in my Facebook group, there is a free bottle pattern coming. Like a water bottle pattern. It went to the testers last night. Okay, there we go. Get that bit out. It's like my machine knows I'm trying to do everything in a hurry because I've got stuff to do. And it's out to torch me a little bit. Like with 3 different threads. It's definitely out to torture me. Right. 3rd time's the charm, right? There we go. Okay, so I'm going to take this one and this one, match it up. I'm going to stitch that down. I'm also going to top stitch this because I think it will be pretty and functional all at the same time. Make sure that the other side is out of the way too. I could feel that that was thicker. That's why I knew it was there. Okie dokie. So now it's starting to look more like a bag. So because I don't have the zipper pockets in, I am actually going to top stitch onto the vinyl. So I'm going to put my stitch length up. Make sure I back stitch at both ends. Then I flip it. I'm going to do the same on this side. So I'm making sure that that seam allowance is under where I am stitching. Now it kind of looks like a bag. I like it. That alarm that you can hear is base lockdown. I don't know if they're testing or not. I forgot to check. I never check. Who are we kidding? Okie dokie. I'm just going to leave that for a minute and go on to the lining because there's a few more pieces that I can do without having to check in on the pattern. So, we are going to take one of our lining pieces and then our interior zipper pocket pieces. Now, they are cut to different lengths. You can cut them the same length, or if your pattern's non-directional, you do like a Tory pocket style where you just fold it in half. But let me just pop that over there. So we are going to take the shorter half and place it right sides together like this. And I need, a zipper template. That one. You can also just measure out the box if you want to. I no longer measure boxes. I have things that do it for me. Sounds lazy. I'm okay with it. All right. Measure out the zipper box. And then I'm just going to stitch the top and the bottom long lines. We are not going to stitch the short edges because I have recently discovered that it works out much nicer in the corners if you don't. There's not as much fiddling to get it to sit smoothly. So that's one side. Then we're going to come I'm going to move that because I can feel the fabric hitting it. And I don't want to distort my nice straight line. And back stitch. And then I'm going to pinch it in half, make a little snip like that, and then open it out because that'll get my scissors into the center. Instead of doing that snip, you can also use a rotary cutter and a ruler. It will do the same thing. The reason I'm not stopping until this alarm finishes is because it could go on for hours, depending on if it's a test or something. So I'm going to crease that upwards with my finger. You're going to make a good crease on that. And then I'm going to flip it over and do the bottom. And crease that as well. And then you just push it through the pocket hole. So it gets flipped to the inside. Right, and then I'm just going to finger press that. You could also iron it if you've got your iron handy. When it's waterproof canvas, I can just finger press it like this. Now, before I attach my zip, I actually want to take this piece and attach this first because it's going to be easy to do it now rather than later. And back stitch. Excellent. So now, if you didn't want to put a zipper as well, you could just make this a slip pocket and just stitch the sides closed. I do, however, want a zipper. I like zipper pockets. So I'm going to use rainbow zipper tape with a silver zipper pull, just because I've got rainbow fabric and I thought it would look cool. And I'm going to use the white background because black would be too harsh. And white's going to look fabulous. So I just measure the full length of this, and that's how much zipper tape I personally cut. I like to sew over the zipper tape because it seals the ends, and then you don't have to worry about finishing them off. So I'm going to take my zipper pull. I'm using Silver Chunky. That one looks like it's for resin. I think that's the wrong size. Yeah, that's for resin. They are fatter, that's how you can tell. So I'm just going to grab a different silver one. Oh, they're also playing with guns. I can hear a lot of noises outside that window. Right. Zipper on, and I'm going to singe this end because it's already fraying. See how it's doing that? You just want to seal it really quickly with a couple of passes of the lighter. You don't want to do a lot because it will catch fire and start burning. Okay, so I'm going to lay this over the top of the zipper like this. And I want to match up the end of the zipper with the edge of the pocket fabric. And then I'm also going to zip it up pretty much all the way. And I'm going to start top stitching just after the zipper. Needle down, pivot. I actually didn't mean to do that sewing. I'm going to unzip it so that the zipper pull doesn't get in my way of my top stitching. It's always neater if you pull it out of the way. And then back stitch. Trim off the tails. And then this should fold down and be even with the other piece. So now I'm going to stitch down the sides. If it's not even, that's okay. mine's not even, because I don't think this is the way you meant to do the pocket. But it's the way I'm doing it. It all works out in the end, I promise. Zipper pockets can almost be any size you desire, which is why I created the Tory template, because that pocket fits in almost every single bag ever. It's a good size. Alright, so I've just evened it up. I've now got a zipper pocket. I'm going to leave that open because that'll be where I'm turning the bag through, I believe. And while I'm on this piece, we're going to grab one of our interior top bands and stitch it on. So I'm putting the turtle against this. I just thought it would look really cool. Most people that tested this bag, I think, did like vinyl everywhere. Oh, it did it again. That time I could see it was wrapped around the needle. It's not my day for sewing. Luckily, I'm not doing a lot of it. Right, so right sides together. I'm just going to lift up and go back through the first lot of stitches rather than try and backstitch, because apparently backstitch is not my friend today. Trim that off at both ends, and then I can fold it up and I'm going to stitch. I'm going to have the top band facing down and I'm going to stitch along the dragon scale or fish scale, whatever the fabric was called. Not actually sure what the fabric was called. I do not remember. Okay. So while I'm here, I can also sew these darts. So you just want to fold it together and then we're going to stitch it down. We're going to stitch, we're going to backstitch. Like so, and then we're going to stitch the same on this side. Line it up, shove it under, stitch, backstitch. So you will stitch higher than your point. I'll just like to push, so if you're super new to sewing, you just want to have the same seam allowance all the way up, and it will force you to go further than that point, but that's the idea, so that you can seal it. So there's no marks anywhere. So that is now, actually I'm pretty sure it'll be that way, but that is now one side of the interior. And now I've got some pockets. Just give me 1 second. Sorry about that. I'm getting a blocked ear. I think I'm getting a cold. Lucky me. So I went and took some Panadol. Or not some Panadol. Some cold and flu stuff. Alright, so for the next bit, I'm actually going to stitch this on first. Because if I do it the other way, it's not going to work, because the next thing we're doing is a slip pocket. And I do these after I finish stitching so that this stays as flat as possible for as long as possible. That's my personal choice. Alright. So now we need to grab one of our slip pockets. I mean, I suppose we could do both right now. That also wouldn't necessarily matter. So we're just going to fold them in half lengthways. And I'm going to start at the fold, because that's what I like to do. And I'm going to stitch. Already? Come on, I only took a step. I think it might be time for a new needle. This is driving me insane. So when you have problems, new needles will fix a lot of them. So we're just going to go to a new one. And throw that one in the bin, because I can't keep playing this game of it doesn't want to sew. So I don't use a screwdriver. I use my bobbin. And then I'll just install a new one. And hopefully this is going to solve all my problems. I actually haven't changed the needle this week, although I don't think I've done a whole lot of sewing. Alright, let's try this. Hopefully this will work better. When you're having problems, changing your needle will fix a lot of them, or rethreading. And we're just going to jump over. So the bigger the gap that you leave at this edge, the easier it is to turn, but the trickier it is to line up later. I'm going to trim that bit off. I didn't leave a super huge gap because it's not a big pocket and there's only medium woven on it. So it should be pretty easy to do. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to do the outside slip pocket as well. I almost wasn't going to put this pocket on because I personally wouldn't use it. But I am going to sell this bag and somebody else that does buy it might want to use the pocket. So I'm leaving it in. Alright, so trim off all the tails. That alarm's probably going to go for like an hour, sorry guys. But it's either alarm in the background or no video. The alarm, for anybody that doesn't know, because I live in an army base, the alarm actually means that I'm meant to just stay in my house and not go anywhere anyway. When it's on, I usually just drown it out with music so I don't have to listen. Okay, so I'm just trimming off all the cornery bits. Chuck them in the bin. And then I'm just going to push and flip this through. Then I can get my flute cleaner, which is my turning stick, and poke out the corners like so. And I'm going to do the same to this one. I left a really small gap for this one. So this one might take some more doing to turn through. It can be done. It's just the smaller the hole, the trickier it becomes. That wasn't too bad. If that was an exterior interfacing, like a thicker one, that would have been quite tricky, and I probably would have cut away some of my stitches to make it easier to turn. Okay. Ooh, which side do I like? So the pattern does actually say to have the gap at the bottom. So we just need to kind of fold it in, and you can either clip it down or pin it down or iron it flat. Whatever it is you need to do to get it to sit where you need it to, like that. I'm just going to add some Wonder Clips. 1 and 2. I'm also going to top stitch this edge on both of them so that it's pretty, because we're going to top stitch the rest of it in a minute anyway. So that's my gap. So the smaller the gap, see how it will just sit by itself? I actually prefer this turtle, and I want it to be that way. So I'm actually going to stitch the gap closed in this particular one just because of the way the pattern sits. Because it won't be any different, really, to stitching it down. So we're doing that one at the same time just because we can. This one's actually going on the exterior, which I will do soon. So now we're going to take this, and we want to line this edge up with the top edge of the lining part of the fabric. Like that. So it's all perfectly aligned. That's not in the center. That's the center. And so now I'm just going to stitch the 3 edges that don't have any stitching stitch it to the bag. So this is designed to be for your phone. You pop your phone in this slip pocket. So it's easy in, easy out. Down, twist, up the other side. Back stitch. And done. So now it almost blends in. You can see it, but I didn't even mean to, but I've actually almost perfectly matched up that seam. That was not deliberate, but it makes it very subtle, but there's still the slip pocket there, which is kind of cool. And it looks like it comes out from the seam. I like that. It's very clever. I fluked the fact that it matched up, by the way. That was not at all intentional. So, I'm going to stitch these now. I know in the pattern that they stitch them later, but I've started doing them now, so it is what it is. I'll just have to match them up when I'm joining the bag together, that's all. Right. So there's the next one. So now I'm going to take these. Sorry, I thrown all my threads in the bin, but my tub that I'm using is sitting on top of the bin. So that was just covered in thread. So now what I have to do is I have to make sure these match up, which is not a huge deal. I'm just going to add clips specifically to there, like this. And then I'm also going to leave the bottom of the bag open because I think, oh, actually, no, I don't think I'll need to. I thought the bottom of the bag might have been bigger than the zipper pocket, but I think we'll be all right. So I'm just going to start at this end and stitch my way around. Now you can add more pins or clips if you want to. I'm feeling confident in my sewing abilities for this curve. And then I want to take my zigzag scissors again and trim off some of that excess. Now that is quite chunky. There we go. You could also just use normal scissors. You just want to get rid of that bulk a little bit for when we have to stitch it later. That's all. I like removing bulk as I go. It's my thing. Cool. So that is now our interior, which we will have to turn right sides out to join it all anyway. So let's do that. Oh, it looks so cute. And because I pinned it, see how my points line up very nicely. All right. Last bit. So I'll pop that over there, and I'm going to pop the flap over there. So this is our last bit. Put that over there. So we want to take some double-sided tape and put it along the top flat edge. And then we're going to get this one and do the same thing. Now this is 1/2" tape, and we have to turn over or under, whichever way you want to look at that, 1/4 inch. So the idea is if I put it right on the edge, all I have to do is fold this edge to the edge of the tape, and that will measure out what I need. Under she goes. Like that. And then I'm going to rub it on the table. Ignore that noise. It's not damaging it. It's just the sticker vinyl I put on. Apparently, it's not stuck right there. Won't harm it though, so it's fine. So we're going to do the same to this piece as well. Now this is also going to double. What we're doing right now is making the flap for the slip pocket as well as the holder for the top strap connectors. So it's like got a double purpose. If you, for whatever reason, don't want the back slip pocket, you could just leave this as raw edges and stitch it down as an accent. That is an option. That is what I was going to do before I decided to stop eliminating all the pockets out of the pattern. So now that we've done that, we need to place these. So you need one in the center. That way, obviously. So you want the rings to pop out the top. And then we'll place the two side ones. So like this. I'm also going to increase the stitch length to 3.5 because I am stitching vinyl. But I'm just going to stitch and then come over here and do 2 lines that are approximately 1/4 of an inch apart. You can also do the zigzag cross, whatever makes you happy. This will be on the underneath, so you won't see these stitches anyway. So I'm just going to do the lines. So then we're going to get the next one. And put it there. And then I'm going to stitch it down. Like that. And then I'm just going to lift it up and jump over to here. And I can trim off that jump stitch that I just created in a minute. Trim off the jump stitches. And then we're going to do the third one. Now, as you can see, this is not staying as well as I was hoping, but that's all right. Line it up, stitch it down. Oh, really? So as soon as I do back stitching today, it's messing with my mojo a little bit. There might be some dust stuck in it. I'll have a look after this video. Because I did a new needle. And I can see everything is threaded perfectly fine. So it's not either of those problems. Luckily for me, we don't see this stitch anyway. Because it's underneath. Okay. Oh, that's a lot of mess. Alright, so now I'm going to take this one and put them right sides together. And I want to clip around. I am going to clip this because I don't want the weight of all of my metal that I've put on here to skew my stitches. So I am actually going to clip. So now we're going to have to stitch around the edge. Instead of back stitching, I'm going to go that, oh, it still did it. Really? And then up the other side, move that ring out of my way. That back stitching was fine. Who knows? Whatever. It will not defeat me. So I'm then just going to trim off the excess at these corners to try and get this nice and pointy. Put it in the bin, and then we just turn it through. Flick out the rings. And line up all the edges. Now I am going to add some clips to match up this top edge. And I'm also going to use my nails to poke out the corners. And then line up that folded top edge. Now we're not going to stitch where I'm putting the clips just yet. We're going to top stitch the other 3 sides. The clips are just to make sure that it all stays aligned. And hopefully this thing behaves for me. So we're going to stitch, 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 and then I'm going to go back through the first hole so I don't have to back stitch since it's misbehaving when I back stitch. And then I'm going to top stitch. And then swivel up. Now it's quite thick right at this last little bit, but it's not impossible. Just go slowly. Okay. Does look kind of cool now. So we want our back piece, which is here. And I just need to get the measurements of where to put them. I think I'm scrolling the wrong way. Yes, I am. All right. They've got measurements here. I'm just looking for the measurements. Whoops. Okay. Cool. I'm gonna put it there. And so oops. Silly magnet just got stuck. So the idea is that this is gonna go here and then this pocket is gonna sit over the top like this. I wanna stitch my pocket down first. So the idea is that this will be a tricky pocket to get into. Not super tricky, but not floaty and flappy either. So I am going to measure that down to where it needs to be, which is there. And I'm going to top stitch around the 3 sides we haven't stitched yet, which is the same we did as the slip pocket in the bag. So this is the same slip pocket, just slightly bigger. So I want to stitch down, needle down, move the clip so I don't push them all onto the floor. I'm going to roll up this end so that I can get it into my machine. And then across. And then up the other side. Back stitch and trim it off. Slip pocket. Now I'm going to take this and line it up in the center and top stitch down. You want to go nice and slowly. going to just take the clips off as I get to them. You got to remember there's a few amount of layers here, so you don't want to just hoon across the top. And then backstitch the other end. Now I'm pretty sure the pattern also stitches these sides so that it's harder to lift this up. So I'm going to do, actually, instead of that, I'm just going to put some rivets, I think, because that'll look fun. Whoops, I'm still connected. All right, so I'm going to put some rivets. So I'm going to hit pause while I go and get all that, and then we're going to put some rivets in, and then we're just up to final construction. Whoops, I keep catching myself in that today. So I'm just going to put the rivets in the center at the side. I'm going to punch my 2 holes like that. Then, now you can push your post from top to bottom or bottom to top if you're using double capped rivets. If you've only got single capped rivets, then you want to make sure that the open side is at the bottom. So you usually have to push the posts up as opposed to down. But at the moment, it doesn't matter because I only buy double capped now. So that is now on there. So then we're going to push all of these rings down so that they're out of the way. And we're going to take our flap and put outsides together. So when it's sitting here, it will have the magnet part facing up. Wrong side's up. Like this. And I'm going to clip and baste it into place. Like this. The reason I'm going to baste it is because I like it when layers don't move. I was very naughty and didn't backstitch then, but I've made peace with that since the backstitching seems to have issues today. Alright, trim off those tails. What is going on there? Awesome. Move the cam press. So now I need to finally make up the outside. So I'm going to put right sides together. Your magnets should automatically match up, which is kind of like using a clip without needing a clip. And then if you want to, you can grab some, For those of you that are following on with my little finger, it hurts today because it had like a burr that I wasn't aware of, and it caught on something and ripped off some more of the nail. So I'm trying to delicately not use it today because it hurts. So I'm just clipping to make sure everything's lining up. I don't really need to put that top clipping because the magnet's holding it, but out of habit I'm doing it anyway. So I'm now going to stitch the 2 sides, and then I'm going to close up this, and then we're going to insert the bottom. There's probably like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's like 6 seams to go. Okay, so we're going to stitch. I'm on a joining stitch length of 2.5 now. I'm going to stitch down. We're going to back stitch here. Trim off that tail. Missed the bin again. Then I'm going to flip it over. I like to go top to bottom, so I just flip the bag over. See, I heard that. Stop it. It almost knotted, but I heard it try and do it first. It's not the thread. I've never had issues with this thread. Black sometimes gives me grief, but apparently it's the dye they put in the black. Alright. So now we're going to do these. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to stick my fingers at the points and pull out so that it becomes flat and even. And then add some clips. So this is how you would do the lining if you followed the pattern, but I did them individually. So again, we just pull in and pull it out, and it should all just line up for you. And add some clips, and then we're going to stitch across and close the bottom. This is a very cute bag. I like it. It's quite small, but it is quite cute. Alright, so now I'm just going to stitch there. And then we're going to do here. And I think I just ran out of bobbin thread. I really did. Alright, I'm going to wind another bobbin and then I'll be right back. Bobbin is done. I have trimmed off all those tails that were floating around. So I'm just going to go back probably 3 or 4 stitches and then re-sew that last little bit shut. Because it's important. Oh, we're nearly done. So now I'm just going to take the lining and I'm going to put the zipper pocket on the back because that's where I always like them. That's just my personal preference. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm then going to line up the side seam and I'm going to make sure that it's going to face the same way as the bottom so that there's no weird twist. Now, if you're on a domestic, you're probably going to want to cut this off like that on both sides just to make it less thick to sew through. You don't have to do that, but it will help if you're on a domestic machine because it's less bulk. And then I'm going to clip it with the clips facing into the lining because that's how it's going to fit under the machine. And I'm just going to clip it in. Like that, and then into the back, lots of clips. All right, that is now clipped in there. Whoops. So now I'm just going to, I don't want to start on the thickest bits. I'm actually going to start on the front edge. Bring my bowl back so I can pack up my clips as I go. I'm going to stitch and back stitch. I'm on a joining stitch length of 2.5 right now. And I'm just going to keep bringing it around. So this is a really thick bit here because it's where the flap is as well. You just don't want to go too fast through too many layers. That's how you snap a needle. I'm just bringing it around and around. And then back stitch, pull it out, trim it. Cool. So now I'm going to put my hand into the bag and I'm going to grab a corner and pull it out. Now I'm just using my thumbs to push that into the zipper pocket. can pull out the flap now. And then I'm just going to gently tug on it until it comes through. Now some bags are trickier than others. This one actually worked out quite well. Okay, so while this is all out, check to make sure you haven't missed anywhere. I am happy. So I'm just going to take this and tuck in those edges and stitch the bag closed. Now, if you've got a fabric tag that you put in your bags, here's a good spot to put it. Very rare will people pull it out if it's in the zipper pocket. It doesn't annoy them there. Which means they'll always remember that you made it. And then we can zip that up. Push that into there. Trim off that. Now you can top stitch this bag as well if you'd like. And then I'm gonna just push out there. And then these will magnetize together like so. And then this comes down and magnetizes shut. And there's your bag and your strap. That's very cool. So you've got options on how you want to wear it. You can have it as a backpack, or you can just have it clipped here as a crossbody bag. And the way that I've done it is you can just easily clip it on. So there you go. That is very cute. I like that. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.